Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the work of ministers of government as they push the administration's development agenda. Picking up from where we left off last week, Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa said he is pleased with the results of the biofortified rice being produced at the Nari GRDB Research Station at Lesby Hold in Blackbush Polder, Region 6. He made the statement Saturday last as he witnessed the harvesting of the candidate variety that is under its second trial.
Today, we have started to do the reaping here in Blackbush Pole, and the result is tremendous. The result is resounding, and I'm very optimistic that after the next trial, the third trial, we'll have this as a candidate variety.
Minister Mustafa said the hope is that after the third trial, farmers around the country capitalize on the new variety, which would bring in more revenue for the country.
This is the thing we have been talking about in terms of Guyana leading the agri-food system and the agriculture agenda in the Caribbean, and the President would have said it also in his agriculture month message about the diversification in the agriculture sector and also the value-added product that we have to embark on to enhance our agriculture sector. And this is just an example where the President is pushing the agri-food system in the Caribbean.
Following a massive fire which destroyed more than 80% of the Brigdam police station, Minister of Home Affairs Robeson Ben highlighted that the government has already engaged its engineers to think now about designing a temporary police headquarters. Minister Ben disclosed this during a briefing with the media Saturday last. Senior representatives of the Guyana Police Force were also in attendance.
Issues relating to future building are already being considered by our engineers. We've already told them to think now about what we need in terms for a temporary location and in terms of a design for a new police headquarters building for 4A at Brigdam. I'm sure we all know the necessity for having durable, sustainable new headquarters on Brigdam at that location eventually. So that will be considered properly.
Minister Ben said the force is working to restore and relocate operations so that citizens can stay protected. The Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport launched a National Sports Academy. This was done during the National Sports Conference held at the National Cultural Center. Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips noted the importance of this initiative and said it is one that will contribute to the development of citizens.
And we believe it is an important one in contributing to the social development of our citizens. Our government has held as a main priority the creation of more opportunities for culture, youth, and sport activities because of the critical role these assets play in our lives.
Meanwhile, Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport Charles Ramson Jr. stated that the Sports Academy will be run by the National Sports Commission and the various sports associations and federations.
So you have a very important role in the entire process of running the Sports Academy.
On Monday, Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony announced that the Ministry of Health will soon introduce a new type of COVID-19 vaccination card. This will aid in the efforts to curb the forging of vaccination documents.
So we are working on that right now, and very soon we are going to introduce a different type of card that's going to be harder to forge, and if people did not have the proper documentation in the first place, then they're not going to get the new card that we'll be putting in.
The health minister said this practice is dangerous, and once a person is caught forging documents, he or she will face the full brunt of the law. Close to $30 million has been earmarked to rehabilitate several community roads in Mahdia Region 8 by the end of the year. 7 miles, school, church, gas station, and other roads are expected to benefit from this infrastructural development. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Dharamlal gave this commitment during his 2-day outreach there.
This year we are putting 18 million through the council. Sorry, not this year, in the next, between now and Christmas. And we are putting an additional $10 million through the RDC to do some road work within Mahdia. You notice the other roads are being done. You're going to see massive transformation in this country. And all the towns, you are going to see massive transformation. Because we want people to live more comfortably and live safely.
In addition to this, the Mahdia Town Council was given $9 million as part of its subvention to execute its 2021 work program. To this end, the minister urged the mayor to utilize the monies for the betterment of the town and its people. Now, our communications officer, Siobhan Farley, tells us about the government's one-off grant for pensioners.
Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Honorable Vinay Prasad, oversaw the distribution of the 25,000 one-off cash grant to old age pensioners in Region 4.
I just want to thank the pensioners for being very patient with us as we roll this out in a very ambitious way. Myself and the team at the Ministry of Human Services will be visiting all the locations today and every day to ensure things run smoothly. But by and large, the government of Guyana, the president, and the Ministry of Human Services very, very pleased to be able to add an extra so that people have an extra in time for the last month of the year, $25,000.
The 25,000 one-off grant initiative is the brainchild of President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, which will see some 65,000 old-age pensioners benefiting. The grant is also extended to persons living with disabilities and public assistance recipients. The distribution for public assistance will commence in November.
Minister of Education Priya Manikchand said the ministry recognizes the values of teachers and will continue to provide resources to better educate Guyana's children. The minister was speaking at a lunch in appreciation for World Teachers' Day.
Looking for thanks or you're not looking for rewards, we can do better. And how we show, and it's not always salary, and how we show how important you are to this nation's development. So today, I want to say to you that your value is not lost on us. Your value is not lost on parents. Your value is not lost on this nation. And today I want to ask you that in this big value you have, to whom much is given, much is expected.
Residents of Oriala and Siparuta are welcoming the road that would link their communities to Kokwani in Region 10. The construction of the road is a collaborative effort between the Ministries of Public Works and Natural Resources. On Tuesday, Public Works Minister Bishop Juan Edgehill, Natural Resources Minister Vikram Bharat, and a technical team visited the two communities to interact with residents and make an assessment of the works need to be undertaken on the road. Minister Edgehill says the construction of the road is to improve access and create economic opportunities.
We have to be able, while we work with the natural resources sector, to develop your capacity for logging, sawmilling, and other value added coming out of the forestry sector. Your products must be able to get to the market with ease in a cost-effective manner. So your government, by just the intervention of the partnership between the Geology and Mines, Ministry of Natural Resources, Ministry of Public Works, in getting the road pushed through from Oriala to Kokwani, is ensuring economic activity in your community is sustained, expanded, and diversified to other things that you can do. So it is an important thing.
The first phase of the road will be undertaken by Romel Jagroup General Construction Services. On Tuesday, the contractor was also on site to get a first-hand look at the work that needs to be undertaken. Last week, Minister of Amerindian Affairs Pauline Sakai distributed 9 tractors to Region 1 as part of the government's agenda to enhance the development of Amerindians living in the hinterland, and the government is wasting no time in fostering that development. Minister Sakai said the distribution of the tractors is the first step for villages to become food secure.
Our task as a government is to ensure that agriculture remain an economic sector that has to be supported and that has to maintain our country when it comes to food security. Our importation bill is much too large still, so we will have to push for agriculture to reduce our food import bill.
Minister Sakai said Guyana can return as the breadbasket of the Caribbean, with Region 1 playing an integral role in achieving that feat. A total of 17 tractors will be delivered to Region 1. The Hope Estate Phase 1 and Phase 2 and Hope Lowlands will see a number of developments in the near future. This was disclosed by Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Darmlal during 2 meetings held with the residents in the areas on Wednesday. Many of the residents raised issues concerning the deplorable state of the roads and bridges, the lack of employment opportunities, as well as other issues relating to house lots, among others.
Before the end of next week, we can do an assessment of all the streets and an estimate on what we could afford to start doing immediately, both here and in Phase 2.
Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Senior Counsel Mohabir Anil Nandlal says if Guyana is to have an effective justice system, restorative justice must be applied. He was at the time delivering remarks at the pre-trial detention, custodial sentencing, and non-custodial alternatives workshop. The Attorney General says in Guyana, the justice system is accustomed to the brutal aspects of punishment as prescribed by the law. However, over the years, experts have concluded that this approach has been ineffective.
And now they are recommending a different approach, a softer approach, an approach that requires a little more engagement and pursuing alternative method of punishment, alternative to imprisonment, pre-trial detention or alternative to pretrial detention are all concepts that emerge from the precept of what restorative justice embraces.
Meanwhile, Minister of Home Affairs Robeson Ben says it is important to understand the cause for action by the defendant, especially since in most cases they are not first-time offenders. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony said while earlier this year there was a lot of skepticism surrounding pregnant and breastfeeding women taking a COVID-19 vaccine as there was limited scientific data on the issue. Recent studies have shown that the vaccines are safe for these women to take.
Most of the obstetric societies globally have been encouraging pregnant women to get vaccinated in any one of the trimesters, whether first, second, or third, because the vaccine is safe and it is protective. Observing from the cases that we have locally, almost every day we are seeing between 15 to 20 cases of persons with COVID-19 who come into our hospitals. Currently, we would have had cases at Ocean View. We have cases here at the Georgetown Public Hospital. And it is a challenge to manage these patients, especially if they have some form of respiratory distress. So that is posing a challenge.
In addition to the AstraZeneca, Sinopharm, and Sputnik V vaccines, the Pfizer vaccine is now being offered to women in this category. Senior Communications Officer Michaela Prince now tells us that 45 non-Parel residents have received land titles after waiting years.
In a simple but significant ceremony held in non-Parel here on the east coast of Demerara, the Ministry of Legal Affairs, the Guyana Land Registry, and the Sugar Welfare Fund distributed 45 certificate of titles to the residents. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Honorable Mohabir Anil Nandlal, recalled that many of these residents had have to wait years to collect their titles, and now the same is being delivered to them as part of the government's comprehensive housing program.
The allottees came and they began to occupy, they built their houses, they would have liked their titles to have access loans, but that was not the case. They lived, some of them may have died, and they never got the title. Some may have migrated, they never got the title. Your certificate of title is a document of great legal and commercial value. Legal because it certifies you in law as the owner of that property, and nobody can take it away from you unless you have acquired it by fraud. And it is that title that you can take to the commercial banks and you can lodge it there as collateral and borrow money to build or to send your children for education or whatever endeavors you wish to pursue.
Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Honorable Suzanne Rodriguez, says a priority of the government is citizens acquiring house lots and homes. But equally important, she pointed out, is a regularization of lands.
You know, because a lot of times we focus on the bigger picture, on the macro picture, and sometimes it is these little community issues and problems that only needed somebody to take a look at, somebody to take a moment for the AG to see the importance of delivering this to 45 families or 50 families that would make the world of difference to them and that would significantly improve their lives.
Farmers in Bonasika, Aliki, and Lanabali in Region 3 on Friday received government's flood relief cash grant to assist them with getting back to the land. Farmers from the three riverine communities received a total of $22.6 million. Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, Deodat Indar, overlooked the distribution. The farmers who received the grant expressed how useful it will be in getting them back to their livelihood. Minister Indar said government is one that responds to the needs of the people.
We can't compensate you for everything, for your loss, the worry, the tears, you know, when people wake up in the morning and see the place flooded out, everything damaged, you know, it was hard. I can tell you, I've been around the country myself. Kama Zulfi went to a lot of places as well with me. We saw it. We saw the tears. We know the heart. But our government is one that responds, and we respond positively.
Meanwhile, Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport Charles Ramsden Jr. echoed similar sentiments. The minister visited Western and Northern Hog Island Region 3 on Friday, where he distributed approximately $15 million to farmers and addressed their issues.
And we are aware that, number one, this is never going to be enough to satisfy you entirely as it relates to your agricultural produce or livestock. We know that, but it's a start. It's an important start. And this is helping you to get back on your feet again.
Minister Ramsden also urged the farmers and other residents to get vaccinated against the deadly COVID-19. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony says to mitigate the cause of suicide in Guyana, the Ministry of Health has partnered with Columbia University to conduct a study.
That partnership would see us doing a longitudinal study for about 5 years. We'll officially launch a study in November of this year, and that study is being funded by the NIH, that's the National Institute of Health in the US, and we have some of the world's best researchers from Columbia University who would be joining persons from the Ministry of Health here to do a complete study over the next 5 years about the risk factors relating to suicide. And while they're doing that is to come up with programs of how we can mitigate against some of these factors.
The Health Ministry has been working on rolling out more comprehensive programs to address the issue. One such initiative is training physicians at the primary healthcare level to be better able to detect the signs. Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa visited the community of Cove and John to listen to and address the concerns and challenges the farmers of the community are currently facing. The minister, in his address, said the Agriculture Ministry is committed to working along with everyone, but they must cooperate with the ministry.
But you all have to cooperate too. You can't work like this by your own and by individually, because you can't get things done properly. Right? So we from the Ministry of Agriculture, we'll work with everybody. We'll work with everybody, but you all have to work honestly with us.
Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister, Kwame McCoy, says Guyana's postal services will expand significantly, even as government advances its transformational agenda. Speaking at a small ceremony to commemorate World Post Day 2021 on Friday, Minister McCoy said the previous PPPC administration had started the action to diversify services offered by the Guyana Post Office Corporation. The minister said those efforts will continue.
Yours is a task that is at the heart of a functional democracy. The development of our economy and our society, and yours indeed remains a noble task. And I'm not saying this lightly, I'm absolutely serious about this.
Minister McCoy said postal services is more than just mail and has over the years become one of the most fundamental means of satisfying the needs of citizens and businesses globally. Scores of squatters in Balthiok, West Berbice River will soon become homeowners following the commencement of $20 million in infrastructural works. This project, which is set to begin within the next 2 weeks, will see the regularization of 37 house lots. Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Susan Rodriguez, made this announcement Friday morning during a meeting with residents there.
There are small projects like these within communities that can be quickly executed and that can bring great relief to the citizens in these communities. And that is something that we don't want to overlook, or we don't want to be overshadowed by the housing drive that is going on at the ministry. So we have to balance our interests in delivering house lots on a large scale, but also reaching out to those citizens or people who live within communities who can have their housing issues resolved very simply and very quickly.
The minister said she will return to overlook the land allocation at the regional office. Minister of Home Affairs Robeson Ben also on Friday handed over $11 million worth of vocational tools to Guyana Prison Service to aid in the rehabilitation of prisoners. Minister Ben added that the tools, which were supplied through the Citizen Security Strengthening Program, will enhance vocational training at prisons across the country.
Wanted to build back the shops where vocational training is conducted in, and to make sure that we still continue, even in this difficult of times, in respect of the work to rehabilitate prisoners, that when they leave the prison that they would have received the vocational training.
Guyana's COVID-19 immunization program has been boosted with the arrival of 100,620 doses of the Pfizer vaccine through the COVAX facility. The vaccines arrived on Friday at the Chedijagan International Airport. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony said without the support from these countries and organizations, Guyana would have a more challenging task in getting persons immunized. As such, he noted their support should be acknowledged.
On behalf of the government of Guyana, let me first of all express our gratitude for these vaccines that we've been receiving from the United States, from the UK, and of course through COVAX. These vaccines have gone a long way in helping us to roll out our immunization program against COVID-19. And without the support from these countries, and of course from the UN system, we would not have been where we are today. So your support has been integral for the successes that we have achieved.
That's it for this edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, do log on to our website dpi.gov.gy and our social media platforms. Goodbye.